Welcome to Eden Stories, where faith meets real life. Every story here is more than just a drama. It's a message of hope, faith, and transformation. If you've ever felt stuck, afraid to take the next step, or unsure of what God is doing, today's story is for you. Sit back, open your heart, and let this message remind you that sometimes, the biggest blessings are found outside your comfort zone.
I've been working on this same project for months now. Same colors, same layout, same pattern. And still no progress. Maybe I'm just not good enough. Maybe this is as far as I can go. Look at them. New clients, big achievements, collaborations. And here I am, still stuck in this same small space, doing the same thing every single day. God, I keep praying for breakthrough, but nothing seems to change. I know I could do more, but every time I think about trying something new, like applying for that design firm or starting a YouTube channel, I just freeze. What if I fail? What if I lose the little stability I already have?
David didn't realize it yet, but his real problem wasn't lack of opportunity. It was fear. The comfort of his small, familiar world had quietly chained him, convincing him that safety was better than purpose.
Maybe tomorrow I'll try again. Or maybe I'll just wait a little longer. Things will change when they're meant to, right?
But what David didn't know is that change doesn't wait for those who are comfortable, it waits for those who are willing to move. And so begins David's journey, a journey from comfort to courage, from fear to faith.
Come in.
David, really, you've turned this room into a second office. Every time I come by, you're glued to the chair like it's your best friend.
Well, it feels like my only friend lately. At least it doesn't judge my designs.
Come on, don't say that. You're one of the most creative people I know. I've watched you work for months, late nights, endless sketches, always trying to improve. Your dedication is inspiring.
I appreciate that, Ruth, but I don't think I'm ready for more. Sometimes I feel like I'm just going in circles. I keep trying, but I don't see results. I'm scared of stepping out and failing in front of everyone.
David, you've been doing amazing designs for months. Why not submit them to the company's design competition? The theme this year, New Horizons, is practically made for someone like you. You always talk about wanting a new beginning. This could be it.
Ruth, you don't understand. Those competitions attract professionals, people with bigger portfolios, expensive tools, and years of experience. Me? I'm just a freelancer working from a small room. What if I submit my work and they laugh at it? What if I get rejected again?
David, do you know what your biggest problem is? You've gotten too comfortable with being safe. You are waiting for the perfect moment that will never come. Every great story of success began with someone who dared to try even when they didn't feel ready. What if they reject you? So what? You'll learn, grow, and try again. But what if they accept you? What if your design stands out and opens the door you've been praying for all this time? You'll never know until you take that step of faith.
You make it sound so easy. But you don't see the fear that comes with it. Every time I think of trying something new, it's like this heavy voice whispers, "You're not enough. You'll fail again." It's exhausting.
I know that voice, David. Everyone hears it at some point. But you can't let it control your destiny. Fear doesn't mean stop, it means you're standing at the edge of growth. Maybe God is waiting for you to take the first step before He opens the door.
You really think I should go for it?
I don't just think so, I'm sure. You've prayed for opportunities, right? Maybe this is the one. Maybe God wants to see if you trust Him enough to move even when it's uncomfortable.
All right. Maybe I'll take a look at the competition details. No promises, though.
That's all I needed to hear. Just promise me you won't let fear keep you stuck in that chair forever. Remember, greatness doesn't grow in comfort. Step out, David, you might just surprise yourself. Sometimes, God uses the voices of those around us to remind us that faith without action is just a dream. For David, Ruth's words were the spark he didn't know he needed.
All right, David. Just one click. That's all it takes. You've done the work, you've prayed, you've prepared. It's time to just send it. But what if it's not good enough? What if they see it and think, this guy's not even close to professional? What if I embarrass myself? I can't do this right now. I'm not ready. Maybe next time. Maybe when I have more time to polish the designs, or when I feel more confident. Yeah, I'll just wait until the next competition. No point rushing into this one. I mean, timing is everything, right? God's time is the best time. Maybe this isn't it yet. Besides, what difference will one competition make? I'll just keep improving for now. When I'm truly ready, I'll know. I'll feel it.
Excuses are the quiet chains that bind potential. David believed he was being wise, waiting for the perfect time, but what he didn't see was that fear had disguised itself as caution.
Ruth means well, but she doesn't get it. People like me don't just succeed overnight. I need more preparation, more skill, more something. I'll do it later. Tomorrow, maybe. Yeah. Tomorrow.
Procrastination often feels safe, but it silently kills dreams. David didn't realize that every maybe tomorrow was another step deeper into the comfort zone he claimed he wanted to escape. And just like that, opportunity knocked. But fear answered.
Brothers and sisters, have you ever noticed how easy it is to pray for change, yet resist it when it starts to happen? We say, Lord, I want to grow, I want to move forward, I want to walk in your purpose, but when God begins to stir our hearts, we cling to what feels safe. We stay in our familiar routines, afraid of the unknown. Sometimes, God calls us to move, but we stay where it's safe. The comfort zone can become a cage, a quiet, beautiful cage that looks peaceful on the outside but slowly drains life from the inside. We convince ourselves that we're waiting for the right time, but truthfully, many of us are just afraid to trust God with the next step. God doesn't call us to comfort, He calls us to courage. Look at Abraham. When God told him to leave his father's house, the Bible says he went, not knowing where he was going. That's faith. Faith doesn't always come with full instructions. It comes with a simple word, go. And when you obey, God reveals the rest along the way. Go. Just go. But what if I fail? What if I take that step and lose everything? My friends, sometimes we say we're waiting on God, but in reality, God is waiting on us. He's waiting for us to trust Him beyond our fears, beyond our comfort, beyond what feels safe. You cannot step into destiny while standing still in comfort. God's plans require faith, not familiarity. The comfort zone is deceptive. It gives the illusion of peace, but deep down, it's filled with regret. Many dreams die there, not because God didn't provide opportunities, but because fear disguised itself as wisdom. How many times have we said, maybe next time, when God was saying, now is the time? If you've been stuck, unsure, afraid, holding back, this is your reminder, you were not created to live small. You were created to shine, to build, to step out, and to trust God even when the path is unclear. The moment you take that step, grace meets you there. Maybe this message was for me. Don't let fear silence your faith. If God has placed something in your heart, move toward it. Even if it scares you, take the step. Because sometimes, obedience is the only bridge between where you are and where God wants you to be. Lord, help me not to keep making excuses. If you're calling me out of my comfort zone, give me the courage to say yes.
Sometimes, it takes just one message, one reminder, to awaken the courage we've buried under fear. For David, that morning wasn't just another Sunday, it was the beginning of obedience.
You've been quiet since we left church, David. You barely said a word through lunch. I know that look. Something Pastor Mark said hit home, didn't it?
You know me too well. Yeah. His message got to me. When he talked about comfort being a cage, I felt like he was talking directly to me. But still, hearing it and doing something about it are two different things.
I figured as much. You've been praying for direction, asking God for a sign, and today he practically shouted it through Pastor Mark. Maybe that message wasn't just a coincidence, David. Maybe it was for you, a direct answer.
It's easy to say that, Ruth. But you're not the one standing on the edge, wondering if your dreams will crumble the moment you try. You're not the one who's poured hours into work that may never be seen or appreciated. I've been through disappointment before, and I don't know if I can handle another one.
You think I don't understand fear? I do. I've been there. But at some point, I realized that fear doesn't go away, it only loses power when you act in spite of it. You can't wait for courage to come before you move. Courage is built while you move.
I wish I had your kind of faith. You make it sound so simple, like just taking a step solves everything. But what if I take that step and it leads nowhere? What if I try and fall flat again? I don't want to look foolish.
David, I've learned something over the years. Faith is spelled R-I-S-K. You can't separate the two. Every time you choose to trust God, you're taking a risk. But it's the kind of risk that grows you, that strengthens you, that pulls you closer to purpose. Playing it safe might protect your ego, but it won't fulfill your destiny. Look, I know you've been hurt by failure before. But tell me this, has staying comfortable made you happier? Has staying small brought you peace? You keep waiting for the perfect moment, but maybe the perfect moment starts when you stop waiting.
I don't know. I just don't want to disappoint myself again. I don't want to believe that I'm ready and then discover I'm not.
You might not feel ready, but readiness doesn't define calling. Obedience does. God never asked anyone to be fully prepared, he just asked them to trust. Remember Moses? He didn't think he could speak. Gideon didn't think he was brave. Peter didn't think he could walk on water. Yet each one discovered that God's strength meets us when we dare to step out.
You really think I should go for it, don't you?
I don't just think it, David, I believe it. You've prayed for opportunity, and it's right there in front of you. The question is whether you'll move or make another excuse. Don't let fear disguise itself as wisdom again.
All right. Maybe it's time I stop waiting for the perfect moment and just start trusting that God can use me, even in my imperfection.
That's the spirit. God doesn't bless hesitation, he blesses obedience. Take the step, David. Even if it's shaky, take it. You'll never know what's on the other side until you do.
Faith begins where comfort ends. For David, Ruth's challenge was more than advice, it was a divine push toward destiny. He had a dream while asleep.
Where am I? What is this place? This door. It's incredible. But how do I open it? Is anyone there? Hello? I don't understand what I'm supposed to do. Until you move, it stays closed. Who said that? Move where? I'm right here. until you move. It stays closed. The door will not open to those who wait for certainty, only to those who step in faith. But what if it's the wrong door? What if I step forward and it leads me somewhere I can't handle? I need to be sure before I take that step. Faith is never about knowing the whole path, David. It's about trusting the one who calls you forward. You asked for breakthrough. But breakthrough waits on your movement. I'm scared. But I can't keep standing still. I want to see what's beyond. When you move, I move with you. That voice. Until you move, it stays closed. It felt so real. Lord, are you trying to tell me something? Have I been the one keeping the door shut all this time? Step out. You might just surprise yourself. Maybe. Maybe it's time to move.
Sometimes God speaks not through thunder or fire, but through a whisper in the stillness of our dreams. David's dream wasn't just a vision, it was a revelation. Faith only works when we move.
Good morning, Mr. Collins. I hope I'm not disturbing you. I needed to talk to someone who understands. David. You could never be a disturbance. You're welcome, my brother. You always had something thoughtful behind that quiet face. What's troubling you? It's this. Opportunity. There's a design competition at the company I've been freelancing for. Ruth keeps encouraging me to apply, but every time I get close to submitting, I freeze. I just feel like I'm not good enough yet. Like I still need to perfect my work before I even dare. Ah, that sounds familiar. You remind me of myself years ago. Always waiting for the perfect time, always afraid of being told my best wasn't enough. But David, perfection is often the excuse fear wears to sound wise. It's never about being perfect, it's about being willing. I keep thinking, what if I fail? What if they reject my work and I embarrass myself? I've seen people take bold steps and fall flat. I don't think I'm ready for that kind of disappointment. And what if you don't fail? What if this is the very step that changes your life forever? You see, failure isn't the opposite of success, it's the pathway to it. Every person who ever succeeded had to risk hearing no 100 times before they heard their first yes. But do you know what's worse than failure? What's that? Staying the same. Letting fear convince you to stay comfortable while your potential rusts away. Growth never happens in comfort, David. Comfort feels safe, but it slowly steals your courage. It makes you believe you're fine when you're actually stuck. You make it sound simple, but I've built my whole world around security, around not taking risks. I don't even know who I'd be outside of that. Then maybe it's time to find out. Sometimes God doesn't show us the whole staircase, because He wants us to trust Him with the first step. You'll never discover who you can become if you keep protecting who you are now. That's powerful, Mr. Collins. I guess I've been praying for a breakthrough, but holding the door shut myself. Exactly. You've been asking God to open a door that only moves when you walk toward it. Remember that dream you told me about years ago? The one where you couldn't open the gates until you took a step? Yes. I remember. It's strange you mentioned that. I actually had a similar dream just last night. Then maybe that's no coincidence. Maybe it's time to stop asking for signs and start moving in faith. Fear will always have a reason for you to wait. Faith only needs one. God said go. Thank you, Mr. Collins. I think I've been hiding behind my talent instead of using it. You've given me a lot to think about. Don't just think, David. Act. You'll never see the next door open if you don't leave the room you're in.
Sometimes, God sends people to remind us that faith is not waiting for fear to leave, it's moving forward while fear still whispers.
David. It's good to see you, son. I could tell from the way you looked during Sunday's message that something was stirring in your heart. Come in, Sit down. What's on your mind? Pastor, I've been wrestling with something. Everyone keeps telling me to take a leap, to enter this design competition, to push forward. But the truth is, I'm scared. I don't want to fail, and I don't want to disappoint God if I make a wrong move. Sometimes I feel like it's safer to just stay where I am. I understand, David. Fear has a way of sounding reasonable. It tells us we're being wise, when really, we're just being hesitant. Tell me, when Peter saw Jesus walking on the water, what do you think he felt? He must have been terrified. It was a storm, and stepping out of that boat must have felt impossible. Exactly. But Peter didn't walk on water because it was safe, he walked because Jesus said, "Come." The moment Peter stepped out, he wasn't walking on calm water. He was walking on waves. Yet even in that chaos, the presence of Jesus was his foundation. That's the lesson, David. God doesn't always calm the storm before inviting us to step out. He calls us through it. But Pastor, what if I take that step and sink? What if I misread what God wants from me? Then the same Jesus who reached out to Peter will reach out to you. Remember, Peter started to sink, but he didn't drown. Christ was right there to lift him up. The only ones who missed the miracle were the ones who never left the boat. It's strange you mentioned that story. I've been praying for a sign, but maybe I've been waiting for still waters before I obey. Maybe. I've been asking God to prove himself while I'm still sitting in the boat. That's a profound realization, David. You see, obedience often comes before understanding. Faith doesn't mean you'll see the whole path, it means you trust the one who's leading. When God gives you a gift, he doesn't expect you to bury it in the ground until you're ready. He expects you to use it, even when you're uncertain. So, you're saying God might already be waiting on the other side of the step I'm afraid to take. That's exactly what I'm saying. The moment you step out in faith, you'll find that God is already there, working, guiding, strengthening. The comfort zone feels safe, David, but it's where dreams silently die. Faith begins where comfort ends. Pastor, I think I've been praying for God to open doors while I've been too afraid to turn the handle. Maybe it's time to stop waiting for courage to come and just step out with what little faith I have. Yes, David. That's it. Faith is in the absence of fear, it's moving forward despite it. Remember, God doesn't call the fearless. He strengthens the willing. Take that step. Submit your design. Whether you win or not, obedience will always be your greatest success. Thank you, Pastor. I think it's time to get out of the boat.
Faith is not proven in still waters but in stormy seas. When you trust God enough to step out, you'll find that his hands are already waiting to hold you up.
Lord, I don't even know where to start. I've heard the sermons, I've had the dreams, I've listened to every word Ruth and Mr. Collins said. I know you've been speaking, but still, this fear feels so real. It's like every time I try to take a step, something inside me screams that I'm not enough. I don't want to fail. I don't want to disappoint you. Why does it feel easier to stay in this room, doing the same thing every day, instead of trusting you to take me somewhere new? I've prayed for change, but when change knocks, I hesitate. Maybe it's because I've grown comfortable in my small circle, safe, unseen, and unchallenged. But Lord, deep down, I know you didn't create me just to survive. You called me to grow, to shine, to reflect you in everything I do. These ideas, I've poured my heart into them. They carry my story, my faith, my journey. But what if they're not enough? What if the world looks at them and sees flaws instead of potential? What if I'm just not cut out for this? God, I don't want to stay where I've always been. I'm tired of letting fear dictate my steps. I don't want to look back years from now and wonder what would have happened if I just trusted you. Help me take this step, even if I'm trembling. Help me to remember that you never promised safety, You promised presence. You never said the water would be calm, but you said you'd be there in the storm. And that's enough for me. This time, I won't let fear win.
In every heart, there comes a moment when faith must rise above fear. David learned that obedience isn't the absence of doubt, it's choosing to move forward despite it, trusting that God's hand will catch you when you leap.
Last day. I can't believe it's today. Lord, I've been asking you for a sign. I've been praying for clarity, for some kind of confirmation that I'm supposed to take this step. And now, this. The last day. It feels like you are speaking, but I'm still scared. What if I fail? What if this isn't really you? I've told myself so many times that I'll try next year, that I'll wait until I'm better prepared. But deep down, I know the truth. I've been hiding behind excuses. Every sermon, every dream, every conversation has pointed me to this moment, and still, I've hesitated. Maybe it's because I've been trying to be in control. Maybe I've been waiting for the perfect conditions before I trust you. You've been patient with me, Lord. Patient while I wrestled with doubt. Patient while I built walls of fear around my calling. But this message, it feels like you are saying, it's now or never. And maybe it's time I stop waiting for miracles, when obedience itself is the miracle. This design. I remember how inspired I felt when I first drew it. It came from a place of faith, not fear. I wasn't thinking about competition or recognition. I was thinking about creating something that glorifies you. Maybe that's all you've been asking for, Lord. Not perfection. Just willingness. Lord. If this truly is your sign, then I'll obey. I won't let fear paralyze me again. You've carried me through worse than this. And even if I don't win, I know you're teaching me to walk by faith, not by sight. So here I am, Father, stepping out of my comfort zone. I trust you. All right, Lord. I've done my part. Now it's in your hands.
When we ask God for a sign, He often answers not through thunder or miracles, but through gentle reminders that time is passing, and faith waits for no one. David learned that obedience delayed is often opportunity denied.
This is it. This is the moment I've been avoiding. The moment I've been praying about and running from at the same time. For days, I've asked you for signs, Lord. For clarity. For strength. And every time, you've spoken in whispers, in the sermon, in the dream, through Ruth, through Mr. Collins, through Pastor Mark. You've been patient with my hesitation. But now, I feel it deep in my heart. This isn't about winning or losing. It's about obedience. It's about finally saying yes to the thing you placed in me years ago. Be strong and courageous. You've said it before, Lord. You've been saying it again and again, and now. I choose to believe it. Here I am, Lord. I'm done letting fear control me. I'm done second-guessing the gifts you've given me. I may not know what's waiting on the other side of this moment, but I know who's waiting with me. And that's enough. It's done. I finally did it. Father, I don't know what will happen next, but I trust you. If this is where you've led me, then even the outcome belongs to you. Thank you for giving me courage when I had none. Thank you for reminding me that faith isn't about comfort, it's about obedience.
In that single act of courage, David broke free from the walls that had held him captive for years. It wasn't the submission of a design, it was the submission of his fear. When we finally let go, heaven takes over.
Nothing. Again. It's been 5 days, Lord. 5 whole days since I submitted, and not a single word from them. Did they even see my work? Did I make a mistake? Maybe it wasn't good enough after all.
Hey, David. How are you holding up? Any news from the company yet?
Nothing yet. I've checked my inbox so many times I think I can see every pixel on the screen. I keep telling myself to be patient, but it's hard, Ruth. I thought that once I finally took the step, everything would just fall into place. But now, all I feel is silence.
I get it, David. Waiting can feel like the hardest part of faith. You've done your part, now you have to let God do His. Sometimes He doesn't answer immediately because He's teaching us to trust even when the outcome isn't clear. Remember, faith isn't proven when the answer comes. It's proven while we wait.
I know you're right. I've heard those words before, but now that I'm living it, it feels different. Every hour that passes makes me question if I really heard God right. Maybe I mistook my own desire for His leading. What if I stepped out too soon?
David, listen to me, you didn't make a mistake by moving forward. Even if this opportunity doesn't turn out the way you hope, obedience is never wasted. You took a step of faith, and that's what matters. The silence you're feeling doesn't mean God isn't working. It just means He's working behind the scenes.
Ruth, do you ever get tired of waiting? Of doing everything right and still not seeing results?
Of course I do. We all do. But I've learned something, David. The waiting season isn't punishment. It's preparation. God uses it to stretch our patience, to build character, to remind us that His timing is better than our deadlines. Sometimes He delays the blessing to develop the person who will receive it.
So, what you're saying is, maybe the silence isn't God's rejection. Maybe it's His way of shaping me.
Exactly. Every person who ever walked in faith had to learn to wait. Abraham waited. Joseph waited. David himself waited to be king long after he was anointed. The waiting doesn't mean God has forgotten you, it means He's not finished with your story.
I'm trying, Ruth. I really am. I'm trying to trust that God knows what He's doing even when I don't see it. It's just hard sometimes.
I know. But you're doing better than you think. Keep the faith, David. The same God who gave you the courage to step out won't abandon you in the waiting. He's teaching you to depend on Him, not on outcomes.
Thank you, Ruth. I guess this is part of the process, trusting God when it's quiet.
Yes, and sometimes the quiet moments are when He's speaking the loudest.
Faith isn't proven in the moments of victory, but in the silence that comes before it. In the waiting, God refines our hearts, teaching us that trust is not about timing, it's about relationship.
There it is. The reply. The one I've been waiting for. I can't. What if it's bad news, Ruth? What if I open it and it says, "Thank you for your submission, but unfortunately, I don't think I can handle that right now." You know, I've imagined this moment so many times. I thought when the email came, I'd be excited, confident, ready. But now that it's here, all I feel is fear. What if this was my only chance? What if this is just another reminder that I'm not good enough? That I was foolish to believe God had something special for me?
David, breathe. Take a deep breath, okay? Fear has a way of shouting louder than faith when we let it. But remember what we've been learning, faith isn't about knowing the outcome. It's about trusting the one who holds it. Even if this isn't the answer you want, it doesn't mean God has failed you.
But Ruth, what if this is a no? What if this is just another door closing in my face? I don't know if I can go through that again. Every rejection chips away a little more at my confidence, at my faith.
David, rejection doesn't mean failure. Sometimes it's just God's redirection. Do you remember how many times Joseph faced disappointment before he saw God's purpose? Or how many times David was overlooked before he became king? Every no you face is just one step closer to the right yes. You may not see it now, but the Lord is aligning things in your favor, even when the answer looks like rejection.
You make it sound so simple, Ruth. But when you've been waiting, praying, hoping, and then the door slams shut, it feels like you're the problem. Like maybe God's forgotten your name.
God has never forgotten your name, David. He engraved it on his hands. He knew your purpose before you ever started this journey. And if this opportunity isn't the one, that doesn't mean you've forgotten, it just means he's protecting you from something that isn't meant for you. Sometimes a closed door is God's mercy in disguise.
So you're saying, even if this email says no, I should still thank God?
Yes. Thank him because he knows what you don't. Thank him because a no today might be clearing the way for a bigger yes tomorrow. Remember, God doesn't withhold good things from those who trust him, he just delivers them at the right time.
It's hard to thank him for something that hurts, Ruth.
I know, David. But that's what faith is, thanking him before you see the miracle. Trusting him when nothing makes sense. Praising him not because everything feels right, but because he is right. Whether the email says yes or no, it doesn't change who God is.
All right. I'll trust him. Even if it's a no.
Fear often whispers louder than faith in the moments before breakthrough. But true faith isn't proven by outcomes, it's proven by surrender. Even when the answer seems uncertain, trust the one who writes the story.
Wait. What? They said. They want to meet me in person. For a presentation? I don't believe this. They didn't reject me. They actually noticed my work. Out of hundreds of designers. They want me to present my idea. Ruth. They chose me.
David. Tell me you opened it.
I did. And Ruth, you were right. You were absolutely right. They didn't turn me down, they said my design stood out. They want to meet me in person this Friday for a presentation.
Oh, David. Praise God. Look at what happens when you finally step out in faith. You see? The very thing you feared turned out to be the door to your breakthrough. I told you, obedience always opens paths that fear tries to block.
Ruth. I feel so overwhelmed. I almost didn't send that design. I almost let fear stop me again. All those sleepless nights, doubting, second-guessing, thinking I wasn't good enough. And now, this. It's like God was waiting for me to take that one step.
Exactly. God was never waiting on your perfection, David, he was waiting on your obedience. Sometimes, the moment you take a single step of faith, heaven moves everything else into place. You just needed to move beyond your comfort zone to see what he's been preparing all along.
You know, Ruth. I realize now that my comfort zone wasn't comfort at all. It was fear wearing a disguise. I kept telling myself I was waiting for the right time, but the truth is, I was just scared to fail.
And yet, the moment you surrendered that fear, God turned your hesitation into testimony. You see, David, courage doesn't mean you don't feel afraid. It means you move forward despite the fear. It's about trusting that if God says go, he's already waiting at the destination.
I don't even know what to say. I'm just grateful. Grateful that God didn't give up on me when I almost gave up on myself. Grateful that he used you, Ruth, to keep reminding me to move.
Well, someone had to make sure you didn't bury your gift under fear. You have no idea how proud I am of you, David. But remember, this is only the beginning. Now you've got to prepare, pray, and give your best. God didn't bring you this far to leave you halfway.
I will. This time, I'm going to walk in faith, not fear. I've learned that when God calls you to step out, He's already provided the ground to walk on.
Sometimes, the miracle isn't in the outcome, but in the courage it takes to obey. When David finally moved beyond his comfort zone, he discovered that God had been waiting all along, not to punish his fear, but to reward his faith.
David, it's good to see you again. You look different, lighter somehow. Like someone who's finally stepped out of the shadows. I guess I do feel lighter. Maybe it's because I finally stopped running from what I was called to do. It's amazing how much fear can weigh you down without you realizing it. I just needed to stop doubting and start moving. That's growth, David. And I'm glad you've come to talk before your presentation. Tell me, how are you feeling about it? Honestly, sir, I'm both excited and terrified. I've been rehearsing my points over and over. But sometimes, when I think about standing in front of that panel, all my confidence seems to fade. I keep asking myself, what if I forget my words? What if I don't sound professional enough? What if they find someone better? David, stop chasing perfection. You don't need to sound like someone else. You need to be someone else's inspiration. When you walk into that room, don't go in trying to impress, go in determined to express what's already inside you. Authenticity has more power than performance ever will. You're not here by luck, son. You're here by purpose. Every rejection, every season of waiting, every night you stayed up questioning yourself, it all shaped you for this moment. Don't forget that God orchestrated this. You didn't stumble into this opportunity. You were sent into it. Sent into it. I like that. It reminds me that I'm not doing this alone. I think that's been my biggest mistake, thinking it all depended on me. But now, I see it differently. This isn't about me proving anything. It's about me being faithful to what God placed in me. Exactly. When you see your gift as a calling instead of a competition, you stop performing for people and start partnering with God. That's when true confidence comes, not arrogance, but assurance. When you walk into that presentation, walk in as a child of purpose, not a beggar for approval. Sir, I've spent so long trying to prove my worth through what I create, trying to be good enough. But now I realize, I was already enough before I even started. I just didn't believe it. This time, I'm not walking in to impress. I'm walking in to represent. To represent what God can do through someone who was once afraid. Now that's the mindset of a leader, David. Always remember, favor follows faith, not fear. You don't need the whole world to applaud you. You just need to walk in obedience. Let your work speak, let your humility shine, and let your confidence in God carry you the rest of the way. Thank you, Mr. Collins. I really needed this reminder. I think I've been so focused on my presentation that I forgot the most important part, presence. Not just my presence, but God's presence with me. Exactly, David. And don't forget this, preparation is not just about what you put on your slides, it's about what you carry in your spirit. When you walk in there, walk in knowing that heaven is backing you. You're not representing yourself, you're representing the God who gave you that idea in the first place. I'm ready. Not because I have it all together, but because I know who's going with me. Go get them, son. And remember, authenticity is your greatest asset. Thank you, sir, for believing in me. Even when I didn't believe in myself. He's ready now. Finally ready to live beyond comfort.
True preparation isn't just in rehearsing your lines, it's in aligning your heart. When you know who sent you, fear loses its power. David was no longer the man who hid behind excuses, he was a man walking into destiny.
Lord, this moment is yours. You opened this door. Help me walk through it with courage and grace. Let every word I speak bring glory to you. Mr. David Thompson, we've reviewed your portfolio and found your work intriguing. We're eager to hear more about your vision. You may begin.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. My name is David Thompson, and the project I'm presenting today is titled Designing Hope. It's not just a creative concept, it's a reflection of something deeply personal. For a long time, I lived within the boundaries of what felt safe. I had ideas, dreams, even the skills, but fear always whispered louder than faith. I told myself I wasn't ready, that maybe I wasn't good enough. But then, I realized something powerful: growth doesn't happen in comfort. It begins the moment we choose to step beyond it. This design symbolizes courage, not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. Every element here was created to evoke hope, resilience, and renewal. The warm colors represent optimism and new beginnings, while the geometric flow illustrates movement, a reminder that faith often requires stepping into the unknown.
I must say, your presentation carries depth. Most applicants only focus on the visuals, but you've attached meaning to every choice. What inspired you to approach design this way?
To be honest, it wasn't just a creative decision, it was a life lesson. I've learned that design, much like life, is a reflection of belief. If you create from fear, your work will always feel limited. But when you create from purpose, everything changes. This project came from a place of surrender, a point where I told myself, enough waiting for perfect conditions. I wanted this design to tell that story, that hope is never static, it's alive, it moves, and it grows when we dare to step out.
David, your presentation feels very genuine. I can sense that this work carries your heart in it. You've managed to merge artistic skill with purpose, something rare in today's fast-paced creative world. Tell me, what do you hope people feel when they see your design displayed?
I hope they feel seen. I hope they realize that even when life feels stuck or ordinary, there's always more waiting on the other side of fear. I want my design to whisper the same message God spoke to me: move forward. You're made for more than comfort. If even one person looks at this design and decides to take that one brave step, whether it's in faith, career, or personal growth, then my work has fulfilled its purpose. You know, this isn't just a presentation. It's a story. You've managed to turn design into a message of hope. That's powerful. Thank you, sir. I've learned that creativity without purpose is just decoration. But creativity rooted in purpose can change hearts, even if only one at a time.
David, your presentation was refreshing. Your talent is evident, but more than that, your authenticity stands out. We'll be in touch soon, but regardless of the outcome, I want you to know, you've left a mark today.
Thank you, sir. That means more than you know.
When David finally stepped out, he didn't just present his work, he presented his faith. Sometimes, success isn't about applause or awards. It's about knowing you obeyed when it mattered most. And when obedience meets purpose, even the smallest act becomes divine.
Lord, I've done my part. I've stepped out. I've fought fear with faith. Now, I leave the outcome in your hands. Hello. Yes, this is David speaking. Wait. Really? Are you serious? You're saying, I got it? Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I won't let you down. Ruth. They picked me. They didn't just approve my design, they want me as a partner. A full partnership offer. Can you believe it? Me, the same person who was too afraid to even.
David, I told you. Didn't I tell you that obedience opens doors fear keeps closed? Look at this, you stepped out, And God met you right there on the water, just like Peter.
I almost gave up before I even began. I almost stayed stuck in comfort, convincing myself it was wisdom. But this is what faith looks like. Risking it all and finding out that God was holding you all along.
That's the beauty of it, David. God didn't just want to bless your career, He wanted to strengthen your faith. You didn't just win a partnership. You discovered who you really are when you trust Him completely.
Lord, thank you. For every sleepless night, every doubt, every closed door that led to this moment. I finally understand, it was never about comfort. It was always about courage.
Commit your works to the Lord, and your plans will succeed. Proverbs 16 verse 3.
Everyone, let's take a moment to celebrate what God has done. A few months ago, David was in this same living room, tired, uncertain, and convinced that stepping out of his comfort zone would lead to failure. But today, we are standing here as witnesses that faith truly works. You see, comfort keeps dreams buried, but faith breathes life into what we thought was dead.
You know, Ruth is right. I used to think comfort was peace, but I've learned that comfort can sometimes be the enemy of growth. I spent years playing it safe, convincing myself I was being wise, but in reality, I was afraid. I thought avoiding risk meant protecting myself, but what I was really doing was hiding from the very life God wanted me to live. When God asked me to step out, I thought He was asking me to take a risk that might end in disappointment. But now I realize, He never asks us to step out so we'll fall. He asks us to step out so we'll grow. Growth doesn't come from safety. It comes from surrender. It comes from trusting Him even when you can't see the next step.
And that's the beauty of your story, David. It's not just about a new job or a partnership. It's about transformation. You didn't just step into success, you stepped into a new level of faith. You learned that obedience is never wasted, even when it feels uncertain.
Exactly. I learned that God's timing, though mysterious, is always perfect. The moment I stopped worrying about results and started trusting His process, everything changed. Sometimes we wait for God to move, but He's waiting for us to take that first step of faith.
You know what this reminds me of? When Peter stepped out of the boat. He didn't walk on water because he was skilled, he walked because he believed. You did the same, David. You believed, even when it scared you.
And I'll never forget it. Because now, I know that faith doesn't just change circumstances, it changes you. And once you've tasted that kind of courage, you can never go back to living small again.
Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1.
David, I want you to take a moment and breathe in what God has done. Sometimes when people achieve something they've prayed about for years, they rush to the next thing without truly sitting in gratitude. But faith isn't just about moving mountains, it's also about pausing to recognize the one who gave you the strength to move. You're right, Pastor. For so long, I measured success by results, by what people could see. But through this journey, I've learned that true success is obedience. Even before I knew how it would end, just sending that design felt like victory. Because for once, I wasn't ruled by fear. I was ruled by faith. That's it, my brother. And that's exactly where God wants every believer to live, from a place of trust, not fear. You see, the comfort zone is sneaky. It looks peaceful, it feels safe, but in reality, it's a silent thief. It steals potential, it kills vision, and it convinces you that playing small is humility. But humility is not hiding, it's obeying even when you're trembling. David, remember, this is just the beginning. Don't let the success make you settle again. Every new level God takes you to will demand a new leap of faith. The same courage that helped you submit that first design is the same courage you'll need when God asks you to lead others, to make bold decisions, or to walk through unfamiliar doors. I understand, Pastor. It's humbling to think about it that way. I realize now that faith isn't a one-time act, it's a lifestyle. Every day, we either choose to move with God or stay stuck in what feels safe. And I don't ever want to go back to fear again. That's the heart God is looking for. Remember Peter? He didn't stop walking when the waves got strong. He started to sink when he looked away from Jesus. Keep your eyes on Him, and no storm will ever drown you. You've learned to step out once, now, keep stepping. Because the same God who met you at the edge of your fear will meet you at every new challenge ahead. Thank you, Pastor. I won't forget this. I know the journey isn't over, but this time, I'm not walking alone. I'm ready for whatever God asks next, even if it takes me far beyond my comfort zone. That's the spirit, David. Keep walking, keep trusting, and keep remembering, when you walk with God, every step outside your comfort zone becomes a step deeper into His purpose.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your paths. Proverbs 3 verse 5-6.
Lord, thank you for teaching me that true peace isn't found in what feels safe, but in knowing You're with me, even when I don't know what's next.
Faith begins where comfort ends. Many of us pray for God to change our circumstances, but deep down, we fear the change itself. We want the reward of faith without the risk of obedience. But God's path doesn't lead us to safety, it leads us to surrender. David learned that the comfort zone, though peaceful, was a silent prison. It was safe, predictable, and familiar, but it kept him small. When he finally took that step of faith, trembling though he was, he discovered something greater than success. He discovered God's faithfulness. When God calls you out of your comfort zone, it's not to break you, it's to build you. It's to stretch your faith, deepen your trust, and reveal the strength He already placed within you. Sometimes the miracle doesn't happen when you're ready, it happens when you move. Because faith doesn't wait for certainty, it walks forward in obedience. Don't let fear hold your destiny hostage. Step out. Trust God. For every ending you fear, there's a new beginning waiting, one designed by the very hands that created you. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth, do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19. Thank you for watching Iden Stories, where faith meets real life. If this story inspired you, like, share, and subscribe for more faith-filled dramas.